morning, everybody. While Scott is actually handing out some handouts, I'll welcome you to our ADA seminar this morning. My name is Chris Lacey. I work directly for Interfab, and if I accomplish my job as I should this morning, I want to make sure that you all leave here with a very good, clear understanding about what the ADA mandate is pertaining to lift chairs, and hopefully eliminate a lot of the confusion that's kind of running around in the industry right now as far as who it affects, it doesn't affect, so on and so forth. I will tell you there is a ton of confusion that exists, and I'm sure that that's probably, hopefully why you all are here this morning. So again, I want to say thanks out of your busy schedules. I know the weather's good outside. So I promise to keep you as little time as possible so you can get back to work here early this afternoon. Just to kind of give you a quick overview, we're going to go over what the Act is, who it affects, issues of compliance, the timelines as far as when the enforcement takes effect, and then I want to make sure that you have a very good understanding of our proprietary product, the iLift, and why we feel it's the best solution for you when you need it to address the mandate. We'll spend quite a bit of time on as far as installation, some suggestions I have to make it, I think, easier for you to sell it to your customers now rather than having them wait till the last minute, which is what a lot of them are going to do. And as far as how much money can you make, the possibilities are endless. The revenue stream is pretty massive. So we'll touch on a lot of those various issues. But again, the key is to eliminate the confusion. Has anybody had a chance to go to the ADA website and read any of the very exciting information? It is, one of my people I met several weeks back said they likened it to a double root canal. That's how exciting the information was, and not only it's not the most exciting information, it was a very difficult read. It was very hard. You go from appendix to appendix. So what we've tried to do is consolidate the information to kind of give you the cliff notes. And I will point out in the literature piece that Scott handed out, if you go to the back of that piece, we have the frequently asked questions. That is going to be the best part of that literature piece when you're handing it out to your customers, because it's going to basically have for them about 95% of the most likely questions that they would ask you, and that will help you. But again, we're trying to break it down and make it simple. What is the ADA? For those of you who do not know, it is the American Disability Act. It was signed into law in 1990. And this mandate is a very big deal. I have done, in our Interfab, we've done since the beginning of the year probably well in excess of 100 seminars. We've been in front of over 1,000 builders throughout the country. And one of the recurring themes that I have heard is that, Chris, this ADA mandate is great. It's just like VGB, and how we had to get all of the main drains safety compliant. And boy, did that happen at a great time in the industry. It was a nice shot in the arm. This is reliving VGB all over again, VGB, the Virginia Graham-Baker Act. I am here to tell you, when you leave today, don't think that this is anything like VGB. I liken this to, I call it VGB on steroids. VGB was a safety issue that was enforced by the Consumer Product Safety Council, and as good as everything that everybody experienced throughout the country, most of the VGB companies that I talk to are companies that make the compliant drains tell me that still probably in excess of 50% of pools throughout the United States still are not compliant. And it's been how many years since then, and a lot of that has to do with the enforcement, in that the Consumer Product Safety Council just does not have the horsepower to go out and actively and readily enforce those upgrades throughout the country. Unlike this ADA mandate that we're here to talk about today, this is an issue of discrimination. This is enforced by the Department of Justice, which has huge power and clout at both the federal, state, and local level. And if you look at the numbers, there's over 50 million people throughout the country that represent, handicapped or disabled people. They are the largest minority, so believe me, they have a very big ear in Washington, D.C., and a lot of those members are actively going out and targeting pools throughout the country to make sure that they comply to make the pools handicapped or disabled accessible. And basically that's what it's about. We're just it's providing for specifications or changes in design that make pools readily usable for handicapped or disabled people. I'll tell you a quick story on the subject. This really, I went to high school in the early 80s, and I can remember, which was as my 25th high school reunions coming up this year, but in the early 80s, I remember there being, the big issue in the news was the fact that all bathroom facilities at commercial properties had to be ADA compliant. They had to have a handicap accessible stall in men's and women's rooms, and that you had to have handy access ramps in and out of places of business and hotels and restaurants. And I can remember back at that time in the news, everybody was like, oh, this mandate is ridiculous. It's going to be trillions of dollars, and getting all of these different specific areas compliant. But we all know that it happened in my hometown. They are still upgrading curbs for handicap accessibility because of that. So it's taken them a little bit longer to enter into the pool side of things, but it's here. It's probably long overdue. It's a phenomenal opportunity, and and I feel good in the fact that we're helping helping pools be more accessible for those people. Who does this affect? And this is probably where the biggest aspect of confusion lies with respect to the mandate. And again, because the wording can be kind of confusion, but basically under Title II and under Title III, any commercial property has to be compliant. And we'll obviously talk about the specifics of the compliance, but under the Title II area, any public park, rec pool, school, university, municipal pool, anything along those lines under Title II, mandatory, they have to be compliant. Under Title III, this has to do with more private facilities. They also have to be compliant as mandatory. So that's any hotel, motel, swim club, campground, fitness center, water park, hospital, healthcare facility. Any of those properties have to comply with the mandate, no exceptions. Where the confusion lies has to do with private residences, apartment complexes, condos. Those people automatically, right off of the bat, because of the way that the mandate is worded, they think that they are excluded from the mandate. And in some instances they are, but where the confusion really lies is it has to do with, if you're a private entity and you only allow the pool to be used for private use, you don't have to comply. But if you are a private entity and you allow the pool to be used for any type of general public use, then you cannot be excluded, you have to be included. And I can cite several examples for you. It has to do with commerce, if they sell memberships or charge dues to belong, if the pool can be rented out for birthday parties or weddings, if they have a swim team, or if they allow the pool to be used for swimming events, if they teach scuba lessons, if they teach swimming lessons, any of those type of activities, those homeowners association, condo association, and apartment complexes cannot be excluded. Most of those examples I gave you is what bings the association members. What hits a lot of apartment complexes is if they receive any type of federal funding to belong. A lot of apartment complexes get HUD or Section 8. If they do, they cannot be excluded. So I'm here to tell you, at the end of the day, very few people are going to be excluded in getting compliant other than those specific clubs that they only allow it to be used for private use. When does everybody have to comply? Well, the mandate went into the Federal Register last year. The law went into effect March 15th, so we're already a couple of weeks into the mandate taking effect, so that any new pool that is built commercially has to adhere to the mandate. And as far as existing pools, and that's where this massive pool of potential sales lie, existing pools did not get grandfathered. They also have to comply, but they were granted an additional year's time to be compliant, so they have until March 15th of next year. So as I see it, we have a lot of immediate work to do to get the word out to a lot of these properties, but I firmly believe that we're basically looking at about a 2-season window to get most of these places up to speed and get them compliant. We're dealing with a couple of major factors, which you'll hear me mention several times today. We're dealing with human nature, and we're dealing with budgets. So everybody is going to want to have the tendency to wait till the last minute, and we need to try to avoid that from happening as best we can, because we do not want to repeat the VGB dilemma, which was that everybody waited to the last minute, and then you couldn't quickly, get the drains that you needed. So we need to really work hard on the front end, and I've got some other ideas that I think will help you, that can help you kind of combat that human nature aspect. But somebody asked me several weeks ago, one of the, there's a lot of questions that people have asked, well, what if the pool was already in the process of being built, but it wasn't finished? How does the new pool mandate versus existing pool factor in? To which I responded, what difference does it make? They're still going to have to comply by March 15th of next year, so wouldn't it be an optimum situation if we went ahead and got the anchor in the deck now versus you going out next year and having to saw a 12-inch by 12-inch cut into the deck and install it then? So regardless, they're still going to have to comply. And it falls under the guidelines of when an alteration is made, which is a dramatic physical change to the pool. Again, who's enforcing the law? The Department of Justice. If a pool is in violation, they are basically violating the civil rights of handicapped or disabled people, and a number of things can happen. They can be fined. They can be entertaining a potential lawsuit and an attorney getting involved, which is never pleasant. It will be enforced by the local health department officials, and especially with a lot of the properties, the government, if a violation is reported, the government has the ability to withhold grant money, funds, licensing, certificates of occupancy, etc., which is really hard to operate a business if the government gets involved on those sides. So there is a lot of meat and a lot of teeth into this mandate, unlike what everybody experienced with the VGB situation. And again, the maintenance of accessible features, what this really has to do with, what a lot of people don't realize, is it's one thing to have an ADA compliant lift on a pool, but written into the mandate is mandatory annual maintenance. So I guess the best analogy that I could use is consider yourselves elevator service people. So you have to go into the hotel and renew the certificate. So it's going to be an opportunity for you to get to go to each one of these properties every year and make sure that the actuator motor is working correctly, make sure the battery is working correctly, because if these properties have an ADA compliant lift, it doesn't just stop there. The lift has to be in working condition. If it is not, they are in violation of the mandate. So there'll be a lot of service opportunities for you as well.